Okay, part A is asking us to determine when will the curve modeled by this dy dx have a negative slope. So how we should think about this is that we have a negative out front, and then we're multiplying that negative by x plus 2 over y minus 3. So what we need to produce a negative slope is we need the inside to be positive, because a negative times a positive is a positive. So what we need is we either need both of them to be positive or both of them to be negative, because what we could do is we could have a negative divided by a negative, or we could have a positive divided by a positive. Okay, both of these are going to result in a negative output. So let's look at x plus 2, and then let's look at y minus 3, and determine when is x plus 2 positive, when is it negative, and same with y minus 3. So x plus 2 is going to be positive when x is greater than, let's see, greater than negative 2, right? Because if I plug in negative 2, I get 0. If I plug in numbers smaller than negative 2, I'm going to get a negative, bigger than negative 2, positive. So x is greater than negative 2. So then less than negative 2 is going to produce a negative. For y has to be greater than 3 for a positive and less than 3 for a negative. So we either need both of them to be positive or both negative. So one option would be x is greater than negative 2, y is greater than 3. That's going to produce this thing where we have a negative times a positive over a positive. Or we can do x is less than negative 2 and y is less than 3. And that's going to produce this one where we have a negative divided by a negative. Okay? In both cases, the inside is going to be positive multiplied by that negative on the outside. So these two conditions will produce a negative slope. Now the next thing it's asking is, when is it undefined and when is it flat? So flat implies slope of 0. Okay, and then undefined happens when we have to divide by 0. Okay, so what is going to make us have a slope of 0? Well, it's going to be when x is equal to negative 2, because that's going to produce the numerator being 0. And then what's going to make it undefined is when the denominator is equal to 0, and that's going to be when y equals 3, because then we're going to get x plus 2 divided by 0, whatever x ends up being, or we're going to get, for the flat slope, we're going to get 0 divided by y minus 3. Okay, so this slope ends up being 0, this slope ends up being undefined. One caveat, you can't have 0 divided by 0. So if x is negative 2 and y is 3, then obviously that would be an undefined slope. But we already said that because whenever y is 3, we have undefined slope. Okay, so x equals negative 2, flat, y equals 3, undefined.